Hey Rich, so this is Willie hitting a driver out of Boca Rio last month. All right, so this is what we're talking about in your swing. We want if you notice, Willie looks like the ball's pretty far forward. It's hard to, from face on, to get a line on his ball position, but it generally is pretty forward. He, in this picture, is not leaning back to the right as much. You can see he starts pretty centered and then he'll load into the right. Now watch the shaft. You see a little drag, and that movement is inward toward him. So he's got a little, see that little counter rotate trigger where watch his legs open up a little bit and then he'll start it back. So his hands are coming in toward him, handles dragging. So notice that the club face will stay pretty square looking at the ball early. So if I put the line on his shaft, it would appear to come underneath it a little bit. So the grip at address needs to be, you can see it's just above the waist here. So what we were talking about in the backswing, I was talking about the left shoulder trying to drive the right hip back. So the right hip is going to move deeper in this area here. The left shoulder is digging under a little bit. And by the time he gets the left arm parallel, the shaft is a little bit steeper than the plane. So if you watch his head, it's going to move a little right to start. Like that. And then it's going to move back into the center, which is just a little left of where it started. Now, you can see he's got the club's not laid off, so he's got a chance to flatten it. But watch the continuing right hip depth as he gets to the top. So if you watch the overall lowering of his head, it's going to constantly go down a little bit, and then in transition, just past left arm parallel here, he's going to deepen that hip a little more. So if you watch that regular speed, this is really big for you. You've got to get that feeling of going forward just before you finish going back, so you get that whip. So you'll see from here, which is pretty much right at the top, there's the plane. You can see his hands are going right at the ball. The club is flattening, so that means this whole right arm structure up here is going to move forward this way. So you can also see the shaft is laying back, the right elbow is going forward. So this is a combination of right arm adduction, which is partially horizontal, so it's going sideways and not down, straight down. You've got right forearm supination, and then you've got right shoulder external rotation. So all these things are giving it that sidearm look. And you can just keep it nice and flat, and then that rotation is, if you're going to flatten that shaft, you've really got to rotate. Look how open he's going to be when he hits this ball. So as far as what the right arm is doing, he's just going to keep driving it in and turn down the left to square the face. See that action right there. So his his arm is up against him when he's rotating the lower body and going forward. So if you look at the overall forward movement in the hips, you can see there's just enough. That's about average with the driver for the best guys forward of where they start. Now watch that left leg. See, this is really important now that he's nice and deep. He can use that left leg to push up. And you can see the right leg is gonna fire more inward in here. So again, that left arm, once it gets over there across his chest, and when he starts down, he's got all that pull coming from the pivot. So the left arm is just going to keep getting pulled, and that right arm is going to keep driving. So with the right arm trying to stay supinated, the left forearm needs to supinate to square the face. So remember, if both arms are trying to supinate right in here, then the elbows are squeezing more together. So the supination from the forearm here is going to roll the wrist, add flexion, and square the face. And as the right tries to stay supinated, it's going to keep driving upper arm forward. So you've got a lot of clearance in there. That's important. But that comes from that depth in the backswing. So you got to get that. Look how far from this open stance. Watch how far the right leg moves in the backswing. So that's a huge move. It's almost a full leg back. Right? So if you look at him in terms of the normal box that I draw, which is the forward point of the knees and the back part of the butt. Watch that right hip. Look how deep he gets relative to where he starts. That's why I love this technique. So, and again, you know, when you do this, you got to keep it fluid. So with a swing that's short, you can produce a lot of energy by stressing that shaft. All right.